Hi everybody and welcome back to your channel. Just thought I'll do a short video on how and why I ended up at 3 sets of wheels and tires, and explain to you the reasoning behind it. Alright, let's start with the tires. Okay, now these are the tires that originally came on my territory. It's not a Gia territory, it's just a plain Jane territory. Obviously the Australian Federal Police didn't want to lash out and buy the Gias, but anyway. So yeah, they even had the original Goodyear tires on it still, but I needed to replace them. And the tire shop that I used to go to, I asked them to get the biggest or widest tire that they could fit on this rim without looking, overstretching it and looking out of place. And he found that these Toyos would fit nicely on it. And let's just look for the size here. Where's the size on this thing? There we go. So what are they? They're 255/50 18s. And just by sheer coincidence, not long before I asked him to source me some tires, so I read in I think it was the Motor magazine, they did a tire comparison. And these Toyo Proxys ST actually did very well in both wet and dry and traction and everything. They came out pretty high in the test. So as you can see, you got what I would consider a good thread pattern. With my experience with tires, and obviously it also depends a lot on the compound, but tires to have a lot of these, what would you call them, squares, or this one's not too bad. You have one row to the left and right of the center, and it's just like every other space. But I find if you have tires that have a lot of these squares, they seem to just squirm and move, and I think that it doesn't help with traction when you're trying to take off rapidly. But at the time they were doing its job. They were very good tires. But yeah, of course you get you increase the power and you keep going quicker, so they're gonna not perform as they should, because they're not made for that. So anyway, a friend of mine that works at another tire place, he manages Tire Power, he suggested that I get Federals. And I should also mention, I had these Territory steel rims that I had on my XH Ute with pretty aggressive tires on it, a bit off-road tires. But I sold the Ute, and so I put the original wheels and tires back on it, and I've kept these rims. And they're 17s as opposed to the factory 18s that came out on the territory. And I thought, well, what if I buy some tires to go on the 17s? Because again, at the time, my car wasn't making that much horsepower, and it's just an old hot rodders trick. You just go small diameter wheel and tire to accelerate quicker. So a mate of mine suggested Federals because they're good value for money. And why spend money if you want money than you have to? And I'm just looking for the size on this. There we go, I think. Is that it there? Yep. So what's that? 235 45 17s. So I bought these tires and had them fitted on my Territory rims, and yeah, they were great. They performed a lot better than the Toyos. Like I said, not that the Toyos were bad tires, but it gets to a stage when you're making more power than what the tires can handle. So these Federals, as you can see by the thread pattern, they're really good. And I forgot to mention, I thought I was prepared, but I still forget things. I forgot to mention that when I got these Toyos and we went to put them on a car, they fouled the strut tower. So unfortunately, I had to buy these spacers, well, stud adapters, and as you can see, they're pretty wide, and I really didn't like the idea of, the tires are sticking out slightly from the mudguard, so I didn't really like that idea too much. But yeah, what do you do? I bought the tires. They weren't cheap because that size is apparently not many tire manufacturers make that size, so I had them already, so I needed to use them. So I ended up buying those stud adapters so that fit. And I had the same issue with these territory rims. Everybody says, yeah, all the experts on Facebook, yeah, they fit on territory, no worries. Well, don't think so. Again, I had to use these stud adapters. So anyway, that's the story behind that. And then, don't pay attention to these wheels. And then, like everybody, I follow all the other performance shops, tuning shops, and especially, they're involved with the Barra turbos. And this is a shop up in Gippsland, High Staffy, and he found these rims that fit on his territory, that clear the 6-piston Brembos. And you can put big tires on them, and they clear everything. So they're Race Engineering, Volks Racing wheels, JDM wheels. They are not cheap. I still can't believe I spent so much money on a set of wheels. But I guess I didn't like the idea of the spacers. So anyway, I bought these wheels, and I put these Federals on these wheels. And so I don't have to worry about spacers. So that lasted me for a while, until it got to the stage where these Federals were no longer doing its job. So I ended up buying these Hoosiers. And honestly, I've never had drag radials before. And again, they're not cheap, especially with the territory. You need 4 of the tires. But honestly, it's worth the money. Guys, if you have traction issues and you go to the drags regularly, just lash out and buy yourself some Hoosiers or Mickey Thompsons or whatever you prefer. I mean, any drag rail is better than a street tire. Apparently, Nittos are quite good, but I personally don't have any experience with them. And yeah, just look at the size of this thing. I'll just get my trusty American tape measure out. This is like 11 inches, and it fits nicely on the rim. What's these Federals? These Federals are what are these Federals? They're just eyeball. They're about 9.5. 11, 9.5, and these Toyos about 10. I've actually written it down. I actually was prepared a little bit this time. I've actually written it down. So there we go. Focus. Toyos 255, 50, 18. And I've written the weights down because as you probably saw, I got the scales there. So I've written the weights down. Those Toyos, they are, like I said, 255, 50, 18, and they weigh 29.6 kilograms. The Federals, they're 235s, 45, 17, and they weigh 19.1 kilograms. So that's, with those rims, that's a whopping, 10.5 kilo difference. That's a lot of weight savings there. And as you know, the territories, they're not light cars, so if I have to replace something, I try to replace it with light stuff. And then the Hoosiers, they're 275, 40, 17s, and they weigh 18.7 kilos. So that's still what, 5.5 kilo less than the Federals. And just for comparison, that steel rim, the rim alone is 14.8 kilograms. So yeah, as you can see, it's amazing what difference alloy rim and steel rim weighs, and then the differences between the three alloy rims with tires. And I've also written down the width of the tires. So like I said, the Hoosiers, they're 11 inches wide, roughly. Federals 9.5, and the Toyos 10. Even though the Toyos are slightly wider than the Federals are a lot better. So I think you have it there. Unfortunately, even these, I ended up, like I said, I took the Federals off the JDM rims and put the Hoosiers on. So I had these Federals just laying in my shit, thinking, well, what am I going to do with these Federals? And a mate of mine that works at Tire Power, he spoke to a sales rep from Mullen/Koenig, and about my dilemma. And so he actually was kind enough to take a rim and take it home, because he had a BF Falcon Ute with FPV brake calipers on. So he took it home and took his wheel and tire off and put this one on, and it cleared everything. It cleared the caliper and everything. So I said, yep, buy me a set of those, or a set of those in for me, because I quite like the style of the wheel, and I quite like the color too, because the color it's a bit lighter, but similar to the Ford factory color that I painted these rims in. I think they call it Argent. So it's the same color as what I painted the JDM wheels in. It's the same color as my roof spoiler, whatever you want to call that. I painted also in that same color. So anyway, we got those. He got those rims in for me, and then he mounted the Federal tires on those rims, and I brought them home. And the next day I went to fit them, and guess what? They fouled the caliper, but luckily it only fouled this bolt here, so I had to take the bolt out, and on my bench grinder grind the edges down and round it off here a bit. And you can do a bit of a close up here. So and that did the trick. But then I had to go back, because the weights they put on it, they actually they had initially the weights here, but I told them to put on this side of the fold, or crease, whatever you want to call it. So they ended up putting them on the very outside. So I definitely won't have any issues there. So there you have it. That's how I ended up with 3 sets of tires. Now what I do is, these tires, I put them on when we have the car on a dyno. They're my dyno tires. So we always have the same tires and same tire pressure. And because I only put them on a dyno, the diameter stays the same. You know, it's not going to be wearing on the street. So they're my dyno tires. These tires for the street, they're my street duty tires. And then obviously the Hoosiers, they're for the drags. So there you have it, guys. That's how I ended up with the 3 sets of wheels and tires. Unfortunately, with the stockies and the Federals, I need to run spacers. I'll just flick this around again. With the stock rims, I need to run these spacers. They're quite chunky, unfortunately. Like I said, it's a pain in the butt to take them on and off all the time. With the Koenig, I have to run these. They're probably half the size or half the width of the other ones. So that's not too bad, but still. without the hassle of taking them off and on. And the Hoosiers, yeah, I don't need to run spacers with that, luckily. So it's a pretty wide tire, so probably stick out a fair bit. So there you have it, guys. Like I said, that's how I ended up with 3 sets of rims and tires. Hopefully that, if you guys were wondering how come I always have different wheels and tires, so that explains why. All right, like I said, this was going to be a short video, and I'm going to be running out of ideas what to video in the near future. I'm hoping to have my fuel tank maybe not replaced or fixed, but I'm going to go underneath the car and see if I could loosen it up and reposition it, bash it a bit, and get it further away from the drive shaft. So I'm looking forward to going to the bend, tail and bend. I haven't been there yet, and apparently it's a world-class facility. So I'd like to take the car there and see what my quarter mile times would be now with another, how much more kilowatts, from 610 to 670. So that's really 60 kilowatts more with the new turbo injectors. So be interesting to see what that equates time-wise. So I'm looking forward to getting there before the weather turns worse for the winter. All right, guys, catch you next time. Stay safe. Bye.